Good evening and welcome to episode 21. It's at Jim Bobcast. I'm Jim.
And I'm Bob.
Evening, Bobber. How are you, sir?
I am absolutely spiffing. Cannot be... Well, I'm actually really good, actually. I can't grumble whatsoever about my personal well-being today. How about your good self? Your hair's got a little tinge of yellow in it. It's not so white today. It's a bit more yellowy. You know, and your face, you've got a lovely tan going on there. You're almost ready to squeeze you for some Ribena, you little berry, you.
Oh no, I'm getting my good portion of vitamin D as I take many walks down the broad walk of an evening at the moment, sort of squandering the impending new financial year in my working life. It is the Christmas day of our calendar. So
is it really?
It is. And there is a big legislation.
Have you enjoyed the presents and turkey and trimmings?
It's more the...
Any blanketless pigs?
Mate, there's blanketless everything. There's sleepless nights, that's for sure. But it's more the... Yes, the crown bird from the local butcher and an evening's worth of preparation to drop it in front of the entire family tree on Christmas lunchtime. So it's just a fucking pickle, but it will get done.
I mean, it could be worse, pal. You could have had your closest family members going on TV, being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey, slating you. But we're not going to talk about Messrs. Meghan and Harry tonight. We are going to put that one. We're a royal free zone. We are Majesty the Queen of your list, and we know you will be because you are a Gooner. Need anything, love? You know where we are. Stay clear of any tunnels in Paris, Meghan. That's all we're going to say tonight on that.
Hell.
Okay,
Robert.
We've gone two-footed in. So talking about things that people might be swearing at, we're going to open up tonight's show, the podcast. We're going to open it up with our highlight feature, Fuck of the Week, FOTW, hashtag FOTW at Jim Bobcast. This week's Fuck of the Week, James, it's your selection. I wholeheartedly agree with you. James, who is our Fuck of the Week?
Mikel Arteta.
Mikel, you are Fuck of the Week. There is no two ways about it. You have unfortunately not covered yourself in any glory. You've had one game only, and you managed to fuck it up. Yes, indeed, Mikel Arteta. But why is Mikel Arteta Fuck of the Week? We have a list here, James, don't we? Let's start at it and work our way through it. So obviously we're basing everything on the performance against Burnley at the weekend.
Well, I mean, yes.
Not so much the performance, but the everything about it.
Yeah, but also I refer it very much to a teenager who gets one of his first jobs and starts accumulating wages, and his parents entrust him for the very first time with having a child savers bank account, probably with a local building society, just to try and keep a lid on things.
You may have got like a little ornament or stuffed pig toy to go with it.
Yes, absolutely. And if you decided to opt against the children's ISA because you just simply don't earn enough money, then you are simply in the game of earning income and trying to amass credit. And every time you go to work, you find yourself subject to the most local outlet store buying overpriced trainers with your lemonade wages, just kicking yourself deeper and deeper into said bank account. And what you don't realise, actually, is the very good nature of a building society is sometimes that because they don't have such laborious agents working the debit and credit line, you find yourself about £75 overdrawn. And this is an issue because you only earn £50 per week. So now you're starting to get overdraft fees, and all of a sudden you're deep into a fucking swamp of guff. And you've got no FA Cup to rest upon because now you've lost your job because they saw that you were sweating whilst delivering plays at a wedding as a young 15-year-old, worrying that this week's wages won't even amass enough money to get you back in the black. So he has run out of credit and he is trying to climb the udders or the rudders, should I say, not the udders, the rudders of said ladder, but the pit seems to keep getting deeper. And the pit got deeper by this week's game at Burnley, purely because, first and foremost, why have you not started the same 11 that you've just absolutely dismantled Leicester with? Because with all due respect, it was a good performance.
You know, saying that's the point of all. The same 11, which, you know, even with that same 11, you could say, you know, you could have replaced El Neni with Partey. You know, starting Lacazette or Aubameyang, I could have either one of those. So there are some personnel changes that he could have made from that same 11. Obviously, Smith Rowe carrying an injury as well. But it's not what I would say the positive changes that you can make to a very, very good team.
It was the three most predictable changes, though, which, again...
Well, I'm going to say one change isn't predictable, but carry on.
Well, the three most predictable changes are he removes Cedric because he hasn't given him a run in the side in the right-back position.
Okay, so he removes Cedric. Let's say he removes Cedric. He rests Cedric. I'm against it because the bloke played well, but I'm not against maybe a rest. We've got a big week coming up, a big 2 weeks coming up. However, it's the forget that part about the resting, whilst I will come back to it. It's that he's brought Callum Chambers in. You know, I said it to you yesterday. You know, week after week after week, he's picking Bellerin, who's playing fucking shit. 0 people would pick Bellerin playing that shit. All of a sudden, you get a bloke playing well, who everyone would pick, and he fucking drops him. It's mental madness. But he doesn't drop him for the bloke that's played the previous few weeks, that's match fit, understands the system, actually gives something, albeit not in good form, to the team. He goes and picks a centre-back and lobs him at right-back.
But he picks a player who completely undermines the way in which he has tried to coerce the fan base into understanding is his style of football, which is the fullbacks going beyond the wingers, hitting the bylines and crossing the ball into box for opportunities. Callum Chambers has never done that in his fucking career. So he isn't even. So now, my biggest concern of where I've mentioned the things to you before is he doesn't know his best 11, Bob. He now doesn't know his fucking style of play.
That's exactly right. Not a clue. You know, I likened the way we turned up on Saturday as we're turning up to a barbecue with vegan food and we expect to dine on fillet steak. You know, Arteta, he gets players in good form and drops them. He gets players in bad form and keeps fucking playing them. It's almost, he's clueless, absolutely clueless to how to pick a team, how to set a team up, you know, but he'll have good games. He'll beat Leicester with a team and everyone goes, well, that's a bit of a good result for Arteta there. Maybe Arteta ball and the tactics are working. We said it ourselves. We'll get behind him if that's what he's going to do. But the following week, he doesn't do it. Continuation, consistency, have a style, stick to it, and you will play better football and win. Obviously, you need plans B and C, but I don't think he understands plan A. So plan B and C are absolutely fucking futile if you haven't got a plan A.
I mean, he's about as close to playing fucking Wagyu football as I am to getting in the fucking Ryder Cup. So it's complete adolescence, and he is showing that he is a juvenile manager. I'm exasperated by it because he has good performances, and the most obvious thing to do when you have good performances is the only obvious change, actually, I think, with all due respect, Bob, was to bring in Partey for El Neni. That was the only obvious change from the Leicester game. Other than that, everyone else would have had to sit on their hands. And a ruthless manager, and he has made ruthless decisions, or he has taken the front for making ruthless decisions in his time, in his 18 months at Arsenal, would say to Aubameyang and Saka, well, I'm sorry, but this guy got given your ticket and... well, he don't want to fucking let go of it now, so I've got to give him another go. And, you know, I've said to you, I understand rotation, but you also have to respect in football purple patches. And every single time Nicolas Pepe has seemed to play himself into some kind of form, he has been removed from the team like immediately.
But it's not just Pepe that does that. You saw
Cedric, Lacazette, and all three of them were taken out of the team. So, and I said to you, it's the most, from Arteta's perspective, it's the most obvious. Like I said before the team came out, my prediction on this game, I've absolutely changed it. And this is so Arteta. I mean, I didn't predict that he was going to drop them all, but when you said, I said straight away I knew who they were coming in for. And true to form, honestly, it's completely true to form. And the game highlighted for me what he thinks he might see or what happens in training just does not convert to the pitch. And I cannot believe that he has got the buy-in of the players. Aubameyang scores his goal from the inside left position. So you're either going to move Aubameyang left, drop Willian and play Lacazette. That's a possibility because he scores his goal from exactly that position. It's almost like William was actually in the false nine and Aubameyang scores his goal in that position. He almost scores his goal in that position in the final knockings of the game. Well, I think he does score it in that position because Lacazette's come on the pitch and he moves slightly left of him when Saka puts that dream ball in. So he actually scored. I mean, you're the stato, and maybe for next week you can actually get Aubameyang sort of goals per minute from CF and left forward. But
we're going to have a lot to talk about next week, pal. So we'll see if we can squeeze a stats session in.
But I can't. But I don't understand why he has dropped Pepe, and I do want to get on to Saka a little bit when we come to Burnley. So we'll stay on point with Arteta for a moment, but Saka hasn't been in good form for a while in the league. I know he had a good game against Benfica in the Europa League, but he has been poor in the league, I think, since Leeds. And he played us into a poor position. In the league, they have started to double up on Tierney, which means you have to have a very active right-hand side. He brings Chambers in, which isolates Pepe because they can't go beyond Pepe. So Pepe can't do his thing where he wants to come off his wing and run
Saka
directly
even,
at people.
As it was,
Sorry, Saka couldn't come in. Saka loves to come in off his wing and go direct at people. So he's isolated those areas. Now they're doubling up on Tierney and he's got no width right-hand side. So now you've isolated Odegaard. He's got to come deeper for the ball and play in a pocket deeper. And then if they play up, which they did, they stood up, then you've got to try and get the ball in over the top. And I think Partey did it successfully once, where Aubameyang should have taken a chance. But there's no second mind to the game. So I said, right, I've had enough of this shit. I now need to fucking get some numbers down on where we're at. So literally, just before we're starting to record, we hadn't planned it. It's not on the agenda. We've basically run 47 game averages to the point where Arteta's been in charge. Wenger's last 47 games and the 47 games of Emery in the Premier League.
So Arteta's been in charge of Arsenal now for 47 league games. He's won 20, drawn 11, 16 losses in that time. 16 losses, scored 67, and he has 49 goals against him. So what that does for Arteta is he's got a 34% loss rate and a win rate of 42%, which is unbelievable.
It's dreadful, actually.
And if we look, that's his total amount of games. If we look at the total amount of games that Emery had for Arsenal, Unai Emery, the coach that was lambasted and immediately ushered out of the club, he's played 4 games more than Arteta. His win percentage is 49%. I believe, James. That's about correct, isn't it? Yeah. And he's lost his 25%. He has scored 3 more goals in those 4 more games. So obviously with 4 more games, you can see Arteta parring that score. But in less games, Arteta has lost more than Emery. So that stat can't be overtaken. And in 4 more games, Emery has won 5 more games. So even if Arteta wins his next 4 league games, which puts them on parity in matches managed, he would have still won 1 less and still lost 3 more. So a swingometer there would say he is 12 points less better or worse off than what Emery was, And I would say and I've said this before, that the pause in last season for COVID, that break in the season, has arguably improved Arteta's stats because it's enabled Tierney to come back from injury. And I think if you look at that little summer period in between when we broke in that March for COVID and we came back in June, I would say that between that time, that's where he's won the FA Cup. If we'd have played Sheffield United in the FA Cup when we were meant to be scheduled to play them, we would have probably got knocked out. We certainly would have lost to Liverpool. We would have certainly lost to lots more games that we've actually picked up and won there. He picked up Liverpool thinking about their summer holidays, playing, I think it was at the Emirates in July. They're not focusing on that game. He picks up a cheap 3 points there.
That wasn't July. That can't have been because or could it have been because the Premier League season was that delayed?
Yeah, it started off back end of June, finished July with the FA Cup final being the 1st of August.
Oh yeah, of course. And then they were still on holiday when we beat them and won the Community Shield.
Yeah, so there's some results there, but this is mental. It prompted us to look back and go back and just have a little thing. Arsene Wenger's last 2 seasons, the 2 seasons that got him the sack, he's played 76 league games, obviously. He's only lost 19 of those 76, which is 25% loss rate. So, that's a full 9%, almost 10% change in games. So 3.8 games.
How many?
3.5 games.
How many losses has he had?
Wenger, in his last 2 seasons at Arsenal, had 19 losses, which
that's in 76 games.
Yeah,
and he has lost 16 in 47. So he has to basically only. I'll be absolutely proud as punch. I'll let fucking Colchester Zoo run through me if he only loses 3 games in the next 31.
But he's not going to, is he? And then if you look at other things, this is madness. Wenger's entire career at Arsenal, he had a 57% win ratio.
Yeah.
Now, when you said that to me, I said, well, he did have those invincibles, James, so maybe that stat. But then you went and looked at his last 2 games, didn't you?
Last 2 seasons, yeah.
Last 2 seasons. And his last 2 seasons, he's had 42 wins from 76, which is, again, 55%. So even in the seasons where we want rid of him, which I will add in these last 2 seasons, he won the FA Cup as well. So further comparisons there, beating Chelsea in the cup final. It's unbelievable. You looked at goal differences, James.
Yeah.
And it was Arteta's goal difference is a positive 0.38 goals a game. So Arteta takes to the field. Arsenal should score or should be beneficial to the tune of 0.38. Emery's was 0.41, so he should be beneficial to 0.41. Wenger's is 0.73. Obviously, hugely improved on there.
And that's just in his last 2 seasons. We didn't use the data from his entire Arsenal career where he's run 3
we needed to keep it. We need to try and keep the paint and the canvas identical so we can judge them. But then if you look at this, take those last 47 games, and this was your doing, James. I'm just going to read it out. So if you look at those 47 games that Arteta's had. So Arteta's 47 games, as we've already said, 20 wins, 11 draws, 16 losses, which is 71 points based on those. So from 47 games, Arteta has amassed 71 points. Looking at that same stats, applying what other managers' win percentages are, Emery amasses 81 points. So Unai Emery is getting 10 points more on Arteta over those same 47 games when we look at percentages. Wenger is knocking in 87 points versus 71. So you're talking 10 points better with Emery, 16 points better with the dinosaur that's Arsene Wenger, apparently. It's just, look, the credit is well and truly gone now for that FA Cup win. It went for me the day that he put a weakened side out against Southampton in the FA Cup, because I don't feel that you can on one hand rejoice in winning something and in the next hand show it no respect.
That's a very, very, very well put. I think you've undermined the FA Cup, realising that it actually gives you European football as well. I know the Holy Grail is the Champions League, but no European football is a massive hedge.
But James, that's a massive thing you just said there. If you do not qualify, the Holy Grail is the Champions League, and by playing in the Europa League, you have two opportunities to get to the Champions League: top four or winning the Europa League. If you do not participate in the Europa League, you can only finish top four. And Arsenal, right at the moment, with Arteta in charge, are fucking light years away from being a top four side.
Oh mate, the top four is to
West Ham United with David Moyes in charge are closer.
Bob, we're closer to one of Elon Musk's satellites than we are the top four.
That's exactly correct. We are miles and miles away. So Arteta, for me, and you, James, he is absolutely categorically fuck of the week.
We're 9 goals off Chelsea, and they're just about to win. So against Everton.
Yeah, and just, but what's happening now in this week, James, and last week with the league games, is all those games in hands that have been missed out are starting to be played. So what we will now see, again, my comments I've said a lot for the last few weeks, is we now get to the parity where the stagger's been taken out of the race. And you'll now see how far away we are.
Yeah, because everyone's papering over cracks and everyone's fucking hoping that all of a sudden some teams pull a thumb out of their arse. And Fulham again have, and God knows, we said it last week, I have no fucks and no clue what is going on at Liverpool Association Football Club. But it wasn't going to happen to every single team. And, bizarrely, what would be very interesting to see actually what Tuchel's record is at Chelsea since he's taken over, because they've now catapulted themselves back into the top four.
It's really, really good, actually. He's shown some great form. I think Liverpool's defence of the title's got to go down as probably one of the worst defences of a Premier League title. I think even Leicester and Blackburn, when they won their solitary titles, have defended better. This is a really bad renewal from Liverpool. Shows a lot there. Probably shows how important the Anfield crowd has been to them as well.
Bob, so really interesting. So Thomas Tuchel joined Chelsea on the 23rd of January, and he has played 9 games, won 6, drawn 3, 0 losses.
That's what a winning mentality does.
No, that's what a ruthless ownership does.
Well, that's what they did. They went out, they sacked a crowd favourite. They got a lot of negativity.
With the utmost respect to Mikel Arteta, right? He is not to Arsenal what Frank Lampard is to Chelsea.
No.
And I'm not talking about him as a manager now, as his career as a player. Frank Lampard, arguably, if he has that career at Arsenal, is statue-worthy. That's what he had at Chelsea. He and John Terry are club legends as players. But the club saw an opening when a manager like Tuchel comes available, and they go, yeah, bang, done.
Well, hold on. I mean, Liverpool did it all those years ago when they had Brendan Rodgers in there. Brendan Rodgers took them close to winning a title. There's Klopp that's saying he's available for management again after leaving Dortmund. And they just sack Rodgers literally on a Saturday afternoon. I remember Henry putting his hand on Carragher's leg when it happened. Sacked him like that, brought in a new manager like that. Champions League, Premier League later. Yes, they're in bad form at the moment, but previously to that, they've really risen.
No, but he is a manager with fucking oodles of credit in the bank. I mean, there's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, but he's also got no fucking centre backs.
Yeah.
How that's what's going on at Liverpool. What was Liverpool's main problem? They had shit defenders. What did he go and do? Replace them with elite personnel who haven't played all season. That's why they're pony, because it's like if you buy a very, very expensive bath and you put a shit plug in it, it's going to leak, isn't it? And that's exactly what Liverpool have got. They've removed the plug and they've replaced it with a piece of cotton. That's why. So that's what's going on at Liverpool. But Arteta doesn't see this. He shuffles the pack. Arteta sees Willian doing well in training, so he must play in the league. Even though he's shite, he sees the same with Bellerin. He then sees Cedric play better with Pepe on the right-hand side, and he goes, Well, they played really well against Leicester. We beat Leicester 3-1. Pepe played brilliantly on the right. Cedric was a really good foil for him in support. You know what? I'll drop him because that will make us do better. What a fuck. That's it. I think we need to move on to Burnley now, James, because it's going to be a continuation of this point in its entirety. But this week's fuck of the week on @JimBobCast is the manager, Mikel Arteta.
You fuck.
Yeah. So Burnley, we saw the lineups. We've talked in length about what we feel about the lineups. We were welcoming, obviously, Partey back into the side. Very happy to see him start. And that's it. The rest of it, seeing Saka come back in. Now, I'm a fan of Saka. He's played some good games in the Europa League recently, but his form in the league has potentially been indifferent, And I think what he's shown, and he's shown it on several times now this season, he showed it against Wolves, and he showed it at the weekend against Burnley, is he gets into incredibly good positions and he misses and doesn't take chances that he should definitely be taking. And it's this that I know you do, James, and I'm just opening up ready for you here. This is something that I take issue with because he has to be finishing those chances.
Pepe has taken all of, not all of, but a huge amount of heat for the fact that we didn't go on and win the game when they had barely I don't know that they had a shot on target before we gifted them a goal, which then actually meant that we opened up a little bit. And Leno actually ends up making a big save, and it's a poor attempt by Chris Wood. It's a blend of the both that actually stops us going 2-1 down. Now, I won't overlook the VAR point, but that VAR point never need be an issue. It's kind of like one of those ones where Xhaka and Willian the week before get away with the goal against Leicester. They gift them because we go on and dominate them for 85 minutes. But in this instance, that thing that we watched in front of us, we should have just fucking giggled about. And actually, it might not have happened if we'd have been 3-0 up, because people might have been a bit more nonchalant and less complacent on the ball. And Saka and Aubameyang both have huge chances. They are on the same level as the chance that Pepe had. Absolutely same level. And, both of them, it is absolutely unequivocal that both of them missed the target. So it's the same standard. Neither of them have drawn any kind of save from the goalkeeper, because we only had one shot on target until the 85th minute, which was the goal. So
yeah, I mean it's this,
and that is the point of Saka. People keep telling him we have said this point before, that bar Tierney, the best thing that's come out of this football club is the development and rise of Hale End. Phil Foden is not spoken about in the same light because there is Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling and Mahrez and the continual battle between Jesus and Sergio Aguero and Bernardo Silva. And then Phil Foden is very, very much the cherry on top of a beautifully engineered cake that Manchester City have built. And the re-emergence of John Stones under Guardiola's guys. Cancelo now absolutely coming into his own and showing diversity in midfield and on both fullbacks positions. But we have absolutely hung our hat on Saka must be in the England team. This is exactly what the Arsenal fan base does. It is a bizarre world that the Arsenal fan base can create hysteria and cut. But, we have hung everything on Saka. There was no one in the Arsenal fan base who was sitting having conversations, virtual drinks in the virtual pub because of COVID this season, that has turned around and said, it's not a problem that we're fucking not got Ozil. Smith Rowe's going to be elite this year. No one in August thought that was a potential scenario. They thought Willian was their saviour and Arsenal maybe were going to play a 4-3-3, and they were praying for an Aouar to come in to play the kind of like Ramsey role ahead of a Partey and somebody else, maybe a Ceballos or a Xhaka. You know, I think the fan base is split on those two fucks. So no one was thinking Smith Rowe actually is a spanner in the works. They might even think that Joe Willock might kick on from the good finish that he had at the end of last season.
Indeed, we did. And we did, following on from the European performances.
Yeah. So Smith Rowe wasn't on anyone's radar whatsoever, you know, and the emergence of him, he deserves all the credit he can get for it, because he has shown that he really has a bright future ahead of him. And Saka has had periods where he has been great. The solitary individual moment with the assist against Benfica got us through the tie. But he has been in a number of positions this season where he's got himself into goal-scoring situations and not taken them. A number of them. He's had a couple of clear misses in the box. He had a dreadful miss against Leeds. That was a dreadful miss this week. He was poor against Leicester. He was actually poor in both Leeds games.
I don't think he played against Leicester, Saka, did he? He was rested. He was poor against Leeds.
It was Leeds. It was Leeds. I meant. My apologies.
Yeah, his against Wolves, he had such a bright start. He misses. He got a goal, had one ruled out. What have you? Did this? Did that? But he's missed.
He
had
actually that Pepe moment in that game, didn't he? He had that miss kick.
It's very good to sort of have a pop at someone for miss kicking a ball and not actually making contact. But when you've not made contact, then obviously that's the issue. However, when you do make contact and you miss the target from a chance you should be taking, then you have executed that part poorly.
That is actually interesting. I haven't watched it back in slow-mo, and this is not inexplainable. A professional athlete cannot miss a chance like that. That is absolutely unexplainable. But the pitch was fucking rubbish, wasn't it? You sent
the pitch was woeful.
You sent a fine tweet that the Indians would love a bowl on it, and you're absolutely...
Yeah, the spinners were queuing up. There was Doozeras and all sorts being bowled on that wicket. That is a good point. The quality of the pitch was bad, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Arsenal, on several occasions this season, have not converted domination into goals and points. It was a fantastic fucking surprise that we scored after what it was, a few minutes early doors. I'd barely finished my pre-match shave and was nibbling on the celery in my Bloody Mary at this point in time. And we score, and it's like, what's going on here? Obviously, we've been on the back of many a early conceded goal in recent weeks. So to go 1-0 up was brilliant. But we've not followed up a period of absolute, we're playing well here, Arsenal could score 2 or 3 or 4. We didn't do it. He hasn't. Time after time.
He's not dismantled a side. I've said this to you. He's not put a team over his knee. We had an opportunity. I think it could have been Leicester. If not, we had a game or two older. And I was like, you've got to go on and get 4, 5, 6 now. Fucking bury someone.
You're absolutely right. When we were playing Leeds, we were 3-0 up, 4-0 up. We should have pressed on and done better, though. Yes, we were gifted.
They should have buried West Brom in the snow.
Well, we beat West Brom. What was it, 3 or 4-0?
Yeah, 4.
But that was a result where we were so far ahead with the domination. It was almost nice of us to only win that game 4-0. You could have won that game. If you take Man United, not 2-3 weeks ago, beating Southampton 9-0.
And we mentioned it in the pod afterwards. They brought Van der Beek and Martial on when they were 4-5, I think. It wasn't battening down the hatches.
Martial actually went down for a dive to try and get another penalty. That's the instinct. That is the killer instinct. That is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who let's not be honest, he's not exactly the best manager out there.
Well, he looks as soft as puppy shit. It looks like he should be hosting a show at 6:30 on CBeebies, talking 3-year-olds to bed. I mean, it's honestly, it's nonsense. And you were very right to wrap the fuck of the week up and bring Burnley into it, because it further highlights the fuck of the week. And if he's ruthless, he will not start Saka on Thursday night. And he'll play Lacazette, and I think actually he'll move Aubameyang to the left-hand side. That looks like the smart move. And he will go back to a Pepe Laka Orba
I'd like to see that against Olympiacos. I think that's going to give us a really good chance.
And if he does do that, when we come onto the pod next week, I would just take a step back and say, okay, you didn't play them because you rested them. Now, I'm absolutely fucking adamant that is not going to be the case.
James, look, what will happen? Let's look at ourselves here. So this week we've come on, we've called him fuck of the week. We've done this, we've done that. Next week, we beat Olympiacos 3-1. Congratulations. We beat Spurs 2-1. Brilliant. Well done. We come on. Arteta's done this with the team. He's played this player. Who we got this week? We've got West Ham away from home. And we've also got Olympiacos in the second leg. Okay, then. All of a sudden you're playing Willian as a false nine, Martinelli on the right wing and Odegaard on the left wing, and you've dropped all of them, and you're playing Callum Chambers again. And in defence, you're playing Rob Holding and Gabriel that haven't played for 3 weeks. And all of a sudden we lose against Olympiacos. We get smashed up by West Ham because he goes back, because he doesn't have momentum in his team selection, because he doesn't know what the best team is. And that's the hugest issue. And he thinks he's being clever. And that's such a big mistake. The person that knows they're stupid is a stronger, more intelligent person than the person that thinks they're clever. And I think that's something here. Look at West Ham. Look at...
You've only got to look at those.
Look at Dean Smith at Aston Villa. Knowing where your team's strengths are, knowing how to play, and playing within limits. Sheffield United did it last season. They're having an atrocious season this year. Knowing where you are and what is the right thing to do is so much better than aspiring to glory when you haven't got, when your body's writing checks that it can't cash, mate. It's unbelievable. Analogy after cliche. But that's exactly what Arteta's given us this season. He's not able, and I said this to you, actually, the Burnley game was probably one of the biggest games that really has fucked me off this season. Because it's a game we should have absolutely smoked them. It weren't a fucking week before. We can't break down a side like Burnley. Spurs generously only smashed them 4-0 the week before. Generously. Spurs dismantled them.
And 6 minutes into the game, you're 1-0 up. So you're absolutely going to hedge them out. They're going to fucking come out a few yards. They're going to open up a little bit. They're going to chase the game at some point. And then you go fucking bang and you fuck them.
But then what happens, and let's look at the case. So the Burnley goal. Yes, it's fucking fluky. Yes, it's a massive mistake.
It's not fluky. No, it's not fluky.
Oh, no, ball was kicked against him, deflected in. That could have gone anywhere. Could have hit him in the arm, could have hit him on his bollocks and knocked him down and not done nothing. There was but they got a lucky goal from a fucking massive mistake. But then it was almost like that wasn't a lucky goal. And it was genius from Sean Dyson Burnley, because they almost went into ascendancy from that moment on. And we almost forgot how to play football. It's a freak goal. It was so reminiscent of Wolves.
It's not a freak goal. It's another unforced error from a player who actually is starting to notch more and more of them in his Arsenal career. And I know you've got it as a point afterwards, so we'll just leave it there. And it is them sniffing out the fact that we've got fucking weak arseholes and couldn't crawl through to half time. And they pressed us for the last 5 minutes of a half just to see if they can do anything. Walked away with a freebie. So...
yeah,
it's not a fucking lucky goal. It's more the fact that they've looked under our hood and it's made a fucking candy floss.
So obviously, all that in there is this, and we should have been 3 or 4-0 up. We should have won that game 5-1, 3-1. Pick a score to 1. We give them that goal. There is this little moment where Eric Peters has decided he wants to be in the new Space Jam movie, and he starts bouncing the ball up and down in the penalty box with his arm. That's a penalty. Arteta, give him his dues, comes out and goes, if that's not a penalty, someone needs to tell me what is. That's a penalty kick. That was handball. VAR hasn't even looked at it to clarify that that's not handball. Whereas 10 seconds later, they are analysing the fuck out of one.
Look,
even Peter Walton said that was a penalty.
I know, and he is a complete fuck. And Andre Mariner, a bigger fuck. And we can't. We've said that we cannot keep continuing to give it to matchday officials because, again, it looks like a fucking agenda. But by God, they deserve it. Because only a couple of weeks earlier, when the rules state in VAR that when they believe a clear and obvious interception need be made to that of a referee's decision, they intervene. And they thought that they had seen something on Saka that had almost called them to speak to the referee's ear before Saka had even hit the fucking turf. But Pepe is going utterly berserk at the fucking referee and then the linesman, who was parallel to him, so would have seen the contact. And not do they think that a player goes that fucking crazy that they say, let's take a look for us, boss. It is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. And how VAR, who has to review everything momentarily afterwards so that they are actually in a position to say, I think you might have made a clear and obvious mistake, do not communicate with him, for me, looks like Andre Mariner's corrupt. Because you can't go one of two ways. I'm sorry. That his hand is in a completely unconventional position. I heard someone describe it as the only thing that looks like it could be conventional for is if you are fucking trying to nurse a spoon of turgid food into your baby's mouth, mimicking that of a fucking aeroplane. And that's a fantastic synopsis of the event.
Was the boy Mariner the VAR official for the sending off of David Luiz? I think he may have been.
I don't fucking know. You know data better than me with shit like that.
I think we've been tucked up by Mariner. We've been tucked up by so many refs now. I do. I'm going to say this now. We've drawn that game against Burnley. We should have won it by other means, but we should have also won it because we should have been awarded a penalty. That has happened now too many fucking times this season. The VAR is fisting us.
That, you've just mentioned it, is absolutely the point. That I don't want to dwell on it because we definitely should have... Well, we should have had a penalty kick that would have meant that we had an opportunity to go to 2-1 in the game. But it is absolutely... There's so much more to it than that moment,
Yeah.
Andre Mariner was the referee, and the fourth official was Anthony Taylor, and Kevin Friend was the VAR. Fucking Kevin.
Yeah, we know all about them. We know how they like
it's
to
the
operate and what they
same
do.
fucking names every week.
We're getting violated. We missed out the boy, is it Lee Mason, the previous week with his decisions. VAR is now affecting the game. It's really making it rubbish. It's really ruining it. That game was fucking shit enough as it was, let alone to have that added on it. You mentioned that Foden is the cherry on the cake. Well, this is basically the shit on top of the shit. As I said, it was a really pissed me off, that game on Saturday. Ruined my weekend. It ruined my day Saturday. There was stuffing on. So if 2:00's come, that's it. Absolutely jack all else to do. And, can't we just have a win? Can't we just have some good football? Can't we just have a fair fight? If all I've got to talk about is the fact that Pepe's missed one from 12 yards, I can talk about that. That Willian is again shit. That Bellerin is again shit. I can talk about them, but I can accept it. I can't accept the shit that's going on with VAR, with Arteta and his merry-go-round of lineups. It's just bullshit. And then we now come on to the next point, which is our serial offender, our serial mistake offender, Granit Xhaka. Now, let's just stop before we get on to this and say, since the turn of the year, his form has been positive. Since the turn of the year, he's played 12 or 13 games consecutively now.
Every minute of every single game, by the way.
His form could be attributed and in there with some of our better performances this season. He has played he has played well since the turn of the year. So this is not about us having a go at you, Granit, about not being a good player, because it's not that. What it's about is that Granit Xhaka has made 8 mistakes that have led directly to a goal since his arrival at Arsenal Football Club, which is more, I believe, by 3 than any other player in that period of time. That is unbelievable when you consider he's a central midfielder, when you consider he's a deep line playmaker that should be contributing and scoring goals and assisting goals. No, he's not a defender. He's not a David Luiz. He's not a goalkeeper that can have shit games. He is a midfielder. 8 mistakes that have directly led to a goal. Not losing possession in the other person's box and then running up the other end. 8 mistakes. And he's he's given away 2 mistakes in as many games, the last 2 games, James. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, first and foremost, he does deserve a special commendation for, certainly in most other circumstances, he should have been fuck of the week for that one individual moment.
Well, we gave Ceballos it last week. And
should the result against Leicester have been very different, he might have been on the chopping block for a lot more in that game as well. But, you know, the games where he's given goals away have generally resulted in costing us quite significant points. And he hasn't actually scored goals. I can only think of one goal he scored where he scored the winner with a Xhaka boom.
The free kick against Chelsea went a long way to making that a positive result. You know, that was the second goal. But, you know, you're talking about when he's won us something, when he's done something positive. We're talking about direct mistakes. What these direct mistakes don't include are when he's done his reckless red cards and he's had his reckless moments. You know, if you go back to the home game against Burnley, we were in a period of ascendancy and his red card has cost us 3 points there. So against Burnley this year, we've come away with... They've come away with 4 points. We've come away with 1 point out of 6. And you can actually say, I'm going to actually say, that Granit Xhaka is directly responsible for Burnley getting 4 points of us and us not getting 6 off of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. You know, 8 mistakes. It's too many mistakes. I'm sorry. You know, it's too many mistakes from someone that lives and dies by, you know, on the knife edge of being a defender, you know. John Stones has not made that many mistakes. 4 career sendings off.
Actually, that's a lie. He's had 10 career sendings off in 342 games, 4 of which he's had for Arsenal. But all of his Arsenal ones have been direct red cards.
You know, and some of those were harsh, some of those were not, you know. But he's had so many, he's really led to a demise in Arsenal Football Club, which is why the fans have gotten his back, which is why he is very much a Marmite player within the Arsenal.
Well, because he is another player who leaves himself with no credit in his bank, because when he does do wrong, he refuses to apologise for it or takes a fucking...
I mean, he has come out and said after this game, and, you know, and he's come out in social media after this game, and rightly so, you've got to after this one. It's not like fucking sending off against Burnley last time. You know, you've got to come out and put your hands up about that. But no, James, this is too many mistakes. I don't accept it. You know, we've lambasted players like Mustafi, who is, again, he could have been a contender for fuck of the week this week with what he's doing out in Schalke. Dear me, the boy is unbelievable. But yeah, I just think that too many mistakes from Granit Xhaka. He has to stop that.
Well, I don't know that he can, because obviously it shows that he will have a mistake. I think we worked out that he will, if he plays the way that he is picked, I think he will contribute to sort of 2.17 a season. So, you know, it brings us on to the point that I'd made with you about saying this is what fucking infuriates me about Arsenal in transfer windows as to why I don't think we're ever going to move forward, because he should have been the other player that was replaced, because we weren't good enough in either of the centre midfield positions. They never replaced Cazorla, and then they were lucky enough to have Ramsey in the same team as Cazorla. And then when Ramsey left, well, you absolutely have to replace Ramsey if you've not replaced Cazorla, because, all right, not having one, you can sometimes get away with it. Fuck me, you got away with it having Denilson next to Fabregas, but you can't get away with not having Cazorla and Ramsey or Nasri. You keep these kind of more forward-minded number 8s who you keep going through the notions with. They have to be replaced. So when you replace the 6 and you bring Partey in, who we both thought was going to be, the Christmas present that Mesut Ozil had guzzled for, then you think, well, you fucking really got a chance at top 4 football if you get this Awar deal over the line, which we understood was all there to be had, just an overpayment required to his brother agent. And then you think, no, we're going to pull short. Then we'll let go of Guendouzi, okay. And then all of a sudden the re-emergence of Mohamed fucking El Neni comes to the fray. And that's who you're picturing Partey next to, who's coming from Atletico Madrid, where he's played with players like Koke and some Javi Martinez and some fine midfielders that he struggles to get into that team. And he rocks up here and plays with a fucking degenerate like El Neni who couldn't even get in the Basel side. So it's fucking laughable, to be honest. So it led me to go and actually look at the numbers of the players that are actually accommodating these roles. Because I looked at Partey's and thought, I wonder as a defensive midfielder, because I remember I didn't know much about him. And I looked at the YouTube reels and I thought, well, fucking hell, he travels a bit like PV4, He kind of, and we have seen it. I mean, you saw it for the way he turned out of defence and trotted 20 yards and knocked it off to Willian for Aubameyang's goal. That is what we actually want from Partey, and we've all seen enough of his range of passing in an Arsenal shirt to think this guy's silky. You refer to him as a fine player, very silky like that, and I know you've got many. I'm
a massive Partey fan, but what you have with Partey is everything you want from his position. But I like a food and drink analogy. If you go and you buy yourself the finest gin in the land, and then you take your gin and you don't buy any tonic and you don't put any ice with it, you're just left with gin, and that's not what you want. So what Arsenal have got by not complimenting Partey, even to a bit part, is they're stunting what you buy from him. You're not able to get the best out of a £45 million acquisition because you haven't complimented him with the right players and the personnel next to him, which means as a whole, you're asking him to do other jobs that he's maybe not geared to do, which is perhaps why he's got his injury issues this season. And then you're just as a team never going forward because you're playing a giant game of whack-a-mole or plugging a leak with fingers. Every time you put your finger over that leak, another one appears here. And it's that mentality that the recruitment side of Arsenal are, and the data analysis that we have at Arsenal, they're not able to identify the fact that, in fact, we've got probably brilliant centre-backs in Mari and Louise, that we might not need to go and drop 26 million or whatever it was on both Saliba and Gabriel each. Another 60 million quid there. Maybe we could drop 50 million a while. What does that give us? Maybe not even a while. Let's move away from him as a person.
No. Let's fucking not. Because he is the player who you and I argued with at the start of the season is if you can sign one or t'other, who would you sign? And I said to you Awar at the time, and I think that Arsenal have not been that significantly better defensively with Partey in the side. But they are still missing that player in midfield because they never picked Ozil and they can't get a fucking dick out of Ceballos and they don't get anything out of Xhaka and they haven't yet actually had an assist or a goal out of Ødegaard, who I don't even know how many minutes he's played for Arsenal yet. But I mean
that's that again. That Ødegaard loan. If he goes back to Madrid and we don't sign him, then remember we've got Ceballos we've reloaned as well. It's just fucking bamboozling that we're spending money on loan players that are not, Odegaard's been good. I've been happy with him.
How much does Ceballos cost Arsenal on loan? I don't know. What you honestly guess with me?
I mean, I think we've got him in a cheaper deal this season than we did last season. Last season's loan, there was a significant fee attached. I think this season it's closer to more of a traditional loan of the higher salary, paying his salary with a small fee. But I don't know the ins and outs of it. But that's true, James. We just haven't gone out and recruited.
So Odegaard is yet to contribute an assist or a goal in 475 minutes for Arsenal. Don't get me wrong. He's showing signs of promise, but he was brought in of this player that everyone was telling me, you're a fucking moron saying these things. And Arsenal gave him 8 interviews and 5 Instagrams and 3 Twitters and YouTube videos and a fucking 1 to 11 squad number and proverbially put the fucking N5 red carpet right out for him. And he's firing blanks. I was just about to get onto the point before I allowed you to very beautifully describe Partey as a fine gin. Was 460 minutes in La Liga, Partey was getting a goal contribution, goal or assist as a fucking defensive midfielder. I mean, he is the guy who ushers, around in front of the back four. Xhaka at Arsenal, 561. El Neni at Arsenal, 1,035. Fucking Ceballos at Arsenal, 760. Well, Aaron Ramsey was 190. Santi Cazorla was 217. Awar this season at fucking Lyon is 197. And in the league and Ligue 1, he is 227. So he absolutely was the right fucking person to buy. And he's gone on and carried on doing it and probably put another 10 million on his price tag and got another 12 months down the line where teams would have repatriated money around. They'd have got grants in. Their owners might have said, right, this is a window that we can invest in now. France is absolutely fucked. Germany's in trouble as well. These are markets where you might go and get a deal done if you just go cash up front and get ballsy and ruthless. Well, we know for fucking damn sure with the manager and what's gone on at Arsenal that we're not ruthless. So you're going to miss out again on a deal that you could have got done. Because you decided to fucking loan Danny Ceballos with no fucking form there. You spent money on Odegaard's loan fee. We knew the minutiae from that, what was reported, that you're talking about €5 million, something like that. That was the difference between the Awar deal. 5 million. They walked away from that deal for 5 million. That is one. And in this period of time, they've taken £125 million loan from the Bank of England as well, Arsenal.
James, it's dumbfounding that we are now sitting here on the 8th of March when we started discussing this back in August. And it's Groundhog Day. The same problem is still the problem now than it was then. I think we've learnt more about it. We've learnt a lot more about the problems though. Personally, back then we might have been looking at the investment from the owners as to blame them for not getting the Awar deal over the line.
Well, they're attributed with complete and utter compassion by Arteta and Edu for getting the fucking Partey deal over the line. So what fucking budget did the team have before they fucking signed that twat? Because, they've only bought Gabriel. They've formally signed Mari and Cedric, which cost 12 million, and Gabriel was 25. So that's 37 million pounds. They sold Emi Martinez for 20 and a few other fringe players. So what? They get a fucking measly budget of 12 million quid.
James, the budget side of Arsenal Football Club is something we've discussed. And I also just think, even if you gave Edu, I think if you give Edu and Arteta the budget that you pick a number, I still think they'd fuck it up. I still think they wouldn't have signed
It's fucking child's play.
They would look.
It's
remember
play.
You've got to add Willian into that mix as well. They've got Willian in on a free. That's costing money. And you still haven't.
No, Willian basically was just handed Mkhitaryan's contract. It was a like for like on the wage on the wage bill.
Yeah, but then on the wage bill you can hand Awar Mkhitaryan's contract.
No, of course you can.
Maybe that 5 million don't exist no more.
Yeah, I fucking completely agree. But they done the Willian deal the fucking day the window opened. It was like bang, straight in.
And I think this is something that you'll see. And I think the Erdegaard deal, and if we're proven wrong on this, we'll take it.
No. Look, I know you believe
what
that.
I think it is.
You can't be.
It's about.
Whoa! I'm not letting you get away with that because you say proven wrong on this deal. You messaged me during the game and said they must go hammer and tong in the summer to sign this guy. And
I agree. No, hold on.
Don't agree with me. That's your point. I don't agree with that statement.
My negativity about the Erdegaard deal is he's going to be a 5-second loan, and I don't like that part. If you're going to sign him, I think he can improve our football club. But my point is,
we're signing a fucking player that clearly we're not given a budget for in a position now that actually Smith Rowe can do a job in, and they still haven't finished this. It took years to replace Vieira. You know, there's a clear fucking gap in what works there. It took them actually years to replace Fabregas. I mean, it took them 5 years to sign Ozil, who was the person who could fulfill his duties. They were lucky that Ramsey came through a couple of years later, properly came through in 2014 post his proper injury, where he could replace Nasri. You know, and that was a player that they did bring through the academy. But there isn't looking like there's a player in that number 8 position that is nearly ready to come into that role yet.
No. Yeah, James, we're going to need to go and regroup and repurchase in the summer.
You know,
we're going to have to. And hopefully
maybe they bring Guendouzi back. I don't know, but I don't.
I've heard reports that he's played his last game. They're going to be shipping him out for 25 mil. That's what I've heard.
Which is actually quite a good deal because they paid 8 million for him. So to get 200% on your investment is a good deal. Anybody takes that. You know, if you fucking offer 200,
especially if you're not intending to use that element of your side, you don't want him.
No. So you know. Fair play if they can achieve that, but then use it wisely, and you must accommodate that fucking position. But you know the numbers are dumbfounding, Bob. You know our best contributor from the 2 position is the player we've brought in, who I think actually only has 1 assist so far. I think Partey has a assist for Arsenal. He hasn't scored yet. You know. And from you've got that base of goalkeeper +4, which is which is just shy of 50% of your team, which is please retain our goals conceded to as close to 1 or lower as you possibly can. That would be fucking brilliant of you. The 2, help those guys, and you have to help these guys up here. You know, and they're not contributing dick. You know, they're not. They're not.
Look, I think we could regroup in the summer. I think we're going to have to spend some money. I think that hopefully, and this is going to bring us on to our next point, that Champions League football next year, which I believe that if Arsenal are playing in Europe next season, it will be in the Champions League, is important. And we do have Olympiacos in what is, again, a must-win game for Arsenal Football Club, because all of our eggs are firmly lying in the Europa League basket this season. So we've talked about Arteta for long parts of tonight's thing. What do we expect from Arteta in the lineup? What do we expect from him, the style of football he's going to play? Because for me, we have to score 2 goals away from home against Olympiacos. We should be beating a Greek side by 2 or more goals. Because we need those away goals, because last season we only got 1 and it burnt our arse off. You know, in terms of who I would expect to see personnel-wise on the pitch. Now, I'm going to say, do you want to say who we want to play, James, or do we want to say who we think he'll select?
I don't know. Whatever. What you choose.
See, I think, obviously, we don't need to talk too much about the majority of this centre, but the defence. I'm absolutely sure he's going to play Cedric.
Really?
I think he will. Well, I cannot fathom that he don't play him anywhere near the squad on Saturday if he ain't playing him on Thursday. I cannot fathom that, because there's just it's nonsense to rest a player for fucking over a week, 8 days, 8.5 days if you look at kickoff times for Spurs. It's nonsensical. I don't see that as a logical thing, because he's turned around and said he's rested. He's not injured. Middle of the park, we will see Xhaka, we will see Partey. Above them, we will obviously, he's going to play Saka, Ødegaard. Probably on the left, he's going to end up playing. I hope he's going to play Aubameyang with Lacazette up front. That's what I hope. That's what I think he should do. Arsenal's best opportunity of winning that game probably isn't with Saka, like you said, is with Pepe. But I think he'll play Saka because he just will. We've got to win against Olympiacos, James, haven't we?
Cedric has played 1,500 minutes this season.
Which is nothing. It's nothing.
And he needs resting. It's fucking pathetic. Honestly, it's utterly pathetic. I mean, I'm fucking done with it. Like, he needs resting. Cool, perfect. If you're resting him, then give the person who's the only other person in the squad the opportunity to dismantle him from the team that plays Olympiacos. Because one thing you said then that was definitely right is all our eggs are firmly in this fucking basket, because it's the only way that we do find a path back to Europe. You're absolutely right. And other than that, one thing that we haven't actually touched on is, the creation now of the fucking Europa League Cup or whatever it is, which is the third tier of European football, which is when you're playing the fucking cannon fodder and the fucking postman of a fucking village in 100 miles from Cardiff or something like that. So, and that,
to qualify for that would be a fucking embarrassment.
Yeah, that would be.
I'd rather not play in Europe.
No, of course you wouldn't, because some of the teams that you're going to play, with the utmost respect to the association football clubs of the continent, is going to be so embarrassing. It will just highlight even more the banter FC club that Arsenal have become. When you are, I mean, I cannot fathom where you'll be trotting off to. Who would you play against? Pontypridd, would Fireman Sam generally captain the opposition with fucking Norman Price at right back and fucking...
Here we are at Balamory, where it is Arsenal Football Club versus Balamory. And that's exactly the level of ridiculousness that will be. And what also comes with that level of ridiculous comes ridiculous pitches, ridiculous personnel. Fireman Sam does a 2-footed tackle, rips the shin off your next young player, your Emile Smith-Rowe, and that's him out for the season.
No, exactly.
That's what happens.
Norman Price at right back, fucking, starting a fire at half time so that he can fucking throw so that he can throw a fucking petrol can on it by fucking breaking Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's leg as the ball fucking hobbles over a corpse. But you can imagine a local pitch where there's no seating. That's the kind of thing that you could come across to. Oh, we've got a Thursday evening game. We can't actually get any TV cameras there, so we've been able to perform a live broadcast on Instagram Live where people are using their iPhone 4s, and there is the capacity
Gabriel
of the
Martinelli
game.
is in the crowd, not been hacked this time, and he's doing an Insta
The
Live.
halftime entertainment is our very own Pontypridd Fire Station's Elvis, who will be performing on his electric guitar.
I believe it's Pontypandy, I think.
Pontypandy, yes, absolutely.
Pontypridd is actually a real place in Wales. But no, James, Olympiacos is such an important game this week. Now, I asked you this beforehand. I ask it now again. What is more important, Olympiacos or the Spurs result to the Gooner?
Both. You have to sustain some kind of compassion and treat a North London derby with everything that it should be treated with. And Spurs, in years gone by, where we were the superior team, pulled results out of absolutely nowhere where they didn't have form coming into the game. And it's absolutely essential that Arsenal do the same thing. Because one thing I can remember Emery by is I don't remember him being embarrassed by Spurs, but I think he actually beat them 5-2 and 4-2 respectively.
4-2, he beat, but I remember the 4-2 game. He battered them. That was one of the best games.
We beat them 5-2 twice. So, and I think one of them was a Wenger, and I think one of them was a an Emery. So
the Emery result was his best ever performance of an Arsenal football team.
Yeah, it was.
But
Torreira
and I
scored.
think that's a very interesting thing, James. I might, when we were talking about this beforehand, I said that for me, the result of the Olympiacos game is probably the most important result. But the performance of the Tottenham Hotspur game is the most important performance. If Arsenal play like absolute clowns and nick a 2-0 win against Olympiacos, I'm happy with that. If they play with passion and actually wanting to fucking win and giving everything and leaving everything out there and get mugged off by a Harry Kane penalty 1-0, then I will take it. I don't want it, but it's the difference that when we played them, back in December, that Arsenal were a shower of shit. They were a wet lettuce, they were a blanketless pig. They were vegan cheese and all of that. And that's exactly what I don't want.
What is vegan cheese called? Is it schmeeze or something like that?
I think it's called sheese, spelt with an SHEESE. I mean, for fuck's sake, we could talk about this all day long, that malarkey. But no, I just want Arsenal to fucking give a shit against Spurs. I want them to leave everything out there.
I think actually a North London derby is the biggest marker of where a squad plays for their manager, because whether it's with or without fans, it is the earmark fixture of the football calendar, and that particular derby holds a hell of a lot of clout. And I think he really struggled in the it was a case of boys and men in the first game, and I've not seen a performance so lackluster in the North London derby like that.
Benign. It was benign.
Yeah. And like I said, the point of Emery was he did manage to get his soldiers in line for a fairly honourable performance against Spurs in the North London derby.
Well, he had players like Torreira, Guendouzi, that were right up in the grills of the Spurs. Eric Dier, I remember when he scored that goal.
He got a proper fucking... He got a proper afternoon out of both Lacazette and Aubameyang, both scoring that day as well. I think Aubameyang got a brace.
Yeah, and Lacazette got the other one, and the fourth goal was scored by Torreira, which was a brilliant goal. But every single player went and did it, went and gave their shit. Going back a few years ago, I think Mustafi scored a goal. We drew 1-1 with Spurs, November 6th, 2016, this would have been. No, that shows my memory there. But we gave a shit then, even though the match result.
Well, we had a game where we were actually quite poor, and then I remember, I think we drew 1-1 with them. Kieran Gibbs scored from left back from a fine angled ball from Özil on the diagonal, and it was just showing the desire to just get something out of the game,
And that's all you want as a football fan, to see your team give their all. Results don't always come your way. But when you give your all, you can say, oh, we lost. I'm so upset with the Burnley result because it was predictable, it was blah, and it wasn't the result. Even if we'd have got that penalty and won 2-1, yes, the result would have been different, but the rest of it would have been predictable and blah. I don't care. I want Spurs to be fucking hell. Can't believe they did that. What a tackle that was by Xhaka. He got sent off, but it was right up the armpits of him. I don't condone violence, but I want, that brawl on the pitch, when they did that. I want passion,
and it's look, and going into this game, I don't know, can we win this game? I don't think you can. I think form is out the window a little bit with heated derbies. But am I confident going into the Spurs game? I have had the fucking life sucked out of me losing the Burnley game, because you mentioned it last week. I think you fucked us, actually. You said we will now go on a winning streak until I think something like April the fucking 20-something, where because we'll beat Liverpool as well, and something will come a cropper at some point. I mean, it was fucking nonsense. But the Burnley game sucks the life out of where you're at, especially the way you conceded to drop the points and then didn't convert it, and then all of the fucking hitting the bars and fucking diving like a fucking salmon out of fresh water, shoulders, taking the ball off the fucking goal line after, it's just could not get the ball in the net if we stayed there for another 500 minutes. But fucking all of a sudden, out of absolutely nowhere, Bale marches into form. It just cannot stop fucking scoring goals or assisting goals. Kane's record against Arsenal, it fucking makes shivers go down my spine.
And his record this season's phenomenal, Harry Kane.
I think he has 40 goal contributions this season or something in all competitions.
Yeah, 36 games, 24 goals, 16 assists.
Yeah, which is ludicrous. And his goal scoring record against Arsenal actually is, I think he has a contribution every less than 90 minutes. So,
and he always manages to get a penalty as well. I can't remember the last time Harry Kane didn't score a penalty against Arsenal.
I can't remember the last time Harry Kane didn't score a penalty, actually. He's a phenomenal kick taker. You said on the notes, do we put our strongest 11 out there, or is Europa the more pressing thing? And I've said to you, and I absolutely stand by it, because I think it cost us against Burnley, that the only other manager in the league at the moment who continues to tinker with his side every single week, because it seems all of a sudden that it actually seems like Jurgen Klopp has been space jammed and someone has come and sucked away his superpowers, because he is changing his team with 3 or 4 players every week. And
he's having loads of injury issues.
I know, but he is also tinkering around. And, obviously they lost to Fulham yesterday, but he played a completely different front three for the first time ever. And he's now lost 6 home games in the league on the bounce. Arteta cannot pick the same team week after week. He just cannot. And he isn't getting dumbfounded with significant amounts of injuries. One here or there, not a catastrophic change where you've got to flip your whole team up like a Klopp. And he had all the players available to him from the team that beat Leicester, all of them. And to say people like Cedric need a rest when, he's barely played 1,500 minutes.
I'm not even going to take issue with resting Cedric if you play Bellerin, who is fully match fit and accustomed to how the team is meant to play. I'm taking issue that you've brought someone from fucking nowhere.
That's a very valid point. But I do take issue when you haven't rested Xhaka, who's played 13 games on the trot.
So Xhaka's nearly played as many minutes in the last consecutive games that Cedric's played all year.
In 6 months, exactly. And that's since the fucking fall of the new year or something, January to the end of Feb. So it's fucking by the by. He's not that much fitter than him, because we said in the stats against Leicester, Cedric's just done 11 kilometres. So he obviously feels fucking fit as a button. And he hasn't had the run of games at right back, just like Pepe hasn't had the run of games in the side when he's got into form. And there continues to be the tinkering with the players who actually give the manager a fucking problem. So mate, we have to beat Olympiacos. I don't know anything about their form. All I know is that Socrates is there. So, he'll probably fucking score 2 and save 8 off the line. And we'll just be where we'll be. It's very funny that an entire football year later, we are in the exact same position which people started to question Mikel Arteta's employ at last year.
So let's have a look at the 2 games as a whole. Scoreline for Olympiacos and scoreline for Spurs, James.
I think we'll beat Olympiacos 2-1. I think we'll lose 3-1 to Spurs.
I think we'll beat Olympiacos 3-1. I think we will draw 1-1 with Spurs.
Fair enough.
And we will score from open play, and Harry Kane will score a penalty.
Yeah, they will score from open play with Bale, Son and Kane up front. I know you can't bring yourself to say it, but I'm just being a realist. You must be fucking dizzy that. And it's so Mourinho. That's why I'm just not going to fucking fall a cropper and just get some sense of false hope that will put him over his knee and give him a spanking like a naughty little girl, because he fucks Arsenal at every opportunity. And he's probably found 5% in the last 3 weeks thinking that he's got this fixture now. Other than the fact that he wants to probably have a proper run at trying to get a squeeze into the top four, which I think is highly unlikely. But
do you think we can finish above Spurs this year?
No, because I think the form that we're in leading into this game is categorical to that tide changing. So if we do beat them, then it is an opportunity, because we have to take points out of them. But if we draw or lose points to them, we're so far behind. We'll be 10 games to go to the end of the season. And what will be actually very interesting is I think we're on 38 points now. We are. We're on 38. We're on 38 points. I find it, normally 68 points doesn't actually get you in the top four, and 66 got you in the top four last year. So if we beat Spurs, we will still need to take 25 from our remaining 30 to get into one of the top four positions. That
I think it's more of a fairer thing that if you see we've got obviously 11 games left, so 33 points gets us to 71. Chelsea have 10 games left, who are currently in fourth with 50 points. So are we saying that they're not going to amass 21 points? Chelsea amassed 22 points. We physically cannot get into
Tuchel has very, very interestingly amassed 21 in his first 9 games. So
you have to say that it's not going to be Arsenal's season for finish there. Spurs are 7 points ahead of us with a level game. So obviously a win for Arsenal means that's 4 points off level games. So I think Sunday's fixture is...
It's significant. Now you've said that, it's very significant.
It's the ball game. It's the ball game. I think I go as far as to say this. If we can get a win, I think we can and possibly will finish above them. But if we can, going to their lovely shiny new stadium without any fans, and beating them there. I can't recall the last time we beat them at White Hart Lane. Any of the White Hart Lanes, actually, to be fair. They've obviously finished above us for a number of seasons now. Last time I think we finished above them was 2016 season. So obviously we're under a lot of pressure to do something with that. So yeah, I think we need to do something this week really, because Arteta has to change it, because otherwise we're going to just be going around in our merry little merry-go-round saying, oh, well done, Arsenal. Oh, Arteta. Well done, Arsenal. Oh, Arteta. Well done, Willian. Oh, Willian. Well done this, well done that. I'm just thinking it's a monotony that is not fair on any Arsenal fan. Me, you, our friends and brothers and sisters out there that all support Arsenal.
Let me leave you with one question just before we go, because we've touched our kind of normal mark where we leave these fantastic listeners, of which I am extremely grateful for those that tune in. What does Mikel Arteta have to do actually to save his job in the summer? I mean, for me, I think it's dumbfounded that the stats that we did earlier and how shy of Emery and both Wenger he was, because just to make up the gap between where he is now and where Wenger, who, like you said, the fan base were very prominent in ushering out, is 16 points over a 47-game period. Because it's a season and a quarter, it's very easy to work out that he needs to improve by 12 points a season, which is 4 wins, which is significant. He has to win. It actually makes total fucking sense because he's won 42% and Wenger was 55%. So he has to win.
So let's qualify that point, James. So you're suggesting that on current situations, you would replace Arteta in the summer.
But I don't.
Would you? No, that's fine. I'm not going to disagree with you.
I would have honestly replaced Arteta at the Chelsea game, no matter what the result was. In my opinion, I think that the treatment of the two past permanent managers has meant that he has overstayed his welcome. And I appreciate that people say, well, if you don't give people a chance, but it's in those particular periods, you've not given other people a chance. You've not given. Emery had a 70-point season off the back of taking over a job that someone had had for 25 years. I mean,
and he qualified for he got to the Europa League final, and he missed out on Champions League by a point.
We were talking about Arteta now, where we were gutted that he missed the Champions League top 4 places by a solitary win. I cannot tell you how far that feels away from me as an Arsenal fan now. Honestly, to think about finishing 5th is dumbfounded. I cannot fathom Arsenal finishing in the top 6 in the foreseeable future. Something categorical.
You asked me a question about what keeps his job. I'm going to say, I think Arsenal fans would rejoice at us losing in the semi-final of the Europa League and finishing above Spurs. I actually think a lot of Arsenal fans would be happy with that result for this season, finishing above Spurs and a semi-final loss.
And finishing above Spurs then, I assume, would make you finish in the Europa League places. So you would...
Mate, I'm thinking that you could be talking 7th and 8th or,
But 7th gets you in the Europa League, doesn't it?
I think you need certain results to happen, but yeah.
And if you don't finish in the Europa League places and you end up finishing in this Europa Banter Cup, with Norman Price and Sam and the gang, right? There's no way you pull a big name in management who subjects their career to that. You don't. Because you've now gone past the stage where a big manager can bring respected quality players to a football club. The football club now can't bring the fucking manager in to even start talking to the players about saying, come and join our club. We've got this vision that we're going to do this. We're fucking playing Pontypridd and Cork City, but don't worry about it because fucking hold your hat on me. We'll be back against Real Madrid and Bayern Munich in no time. Like, mate, the disdain that Arsenal are in at the moment is so much worse than people care to fathom, and it's actually forming part of the acceptance that papering over cracks is just okay, and it's what we live by. The fact that the chaps lost 16 games in 47 is actually absurd. I don't know why I've just not computed that he has lost that many games.
It's 1 in 3, isn't it? Well, worse than 1 in 3.
Yeah. And I kind of go back and
if you look at it, James, 38. If you're losing 48, if you're losing 30% of your games, which is what he is, 32%, 34% of your games, you play 38 league games a year, you're losing 12 games.
It's 13. It's 12.92, right? Which means just call it 13. Yeah. So 13 minus. 38 minus 13 is
25.
So that actually means that your physical maximum layout is 75 points.
Which might get you top 4.
It might get you in somewhere from 3rd to 20th. It physically cannot get you 1st or 2nd. Because no one's ever finished 1st with that many points. I think only the season that maybe we should have won the league, actually, the 2nd place has finished with less points than that. But it's a total write-off.
We're sort of lost for words a bit, aren't we, James? Well, we're not lost for words. We've talked for ages on this, but it is sort of like, wow, we're coming to terms with the realism that we're just not in the race. And we're not in the race for sort of every element within the club. Every element is meaning we're not in the race. We're not good enough at board level. We're not good enough at senior management level. We're not good enough at management and coaching level. The players are playing as well as they can, but they're being rotated and some are playing badly. Some are making mistakes. Some are doing silly things. Some have attitudes that stink. So every little level that we're doing as a football club that you need to do right, we're doing wrong. We are being very, very successful at the moment, Arsenal, at doing things wrong. West Ham are half-time against Leeds now, 2-0, Lindegaard scoring again. West Ham, Where have they come from? You know, West Ham are going to finish above Arsenal for the first time in however many years. Spurs are going to finish above Arsenal. Again, Chelsea are going to finish above Arsenal. Again, you know, we're not even in the same breath as being regarded as the top London club anymore. We're now sort of saying, oh, we might finish above like Fulham or AFC fucking Wimbledon. You know, and that's exactly the level that we're at the moment. And that's fucking saddening. It really, really is saddening that we are so... And it's saddening, James. I can't even get angry about it anymore because we're just... Oh, it's just gutting, you know? And I know you feel it the same way as me. I see it in your face now. I remember we have one of our first rants where you went absolutely apeshit following, I think it was the Leicester game, when you just went straight in and you were passionate and steam and blood pouring out of you. And I now look at you and you just, I feel, you know, I need to give you a hug, you know, as soon as we can, we will. But yeah, Arsenal need to sort themselves out. They need to start right now. You know, it's too late even. Just wrapping up now, really. It's Mother's Day when we play Spurs on Sunday. So I just want to wish happy Mother's Day to my mother out there. Won't be able to see you in person, but I will obviously furnish you with some flowers and probably some sparkling beverage.
What a fine young man.
Yeah, I'll try my best. And obviously your good self, James, your lovely young lady, also a mother there. With your two weens, will be furnishing her with gifts, no doubt.
We no doubt will have a little arts and crafts sesh where a card may be constructed with the various crayon pens, pencils, and felt tips that we have at our disposal.
So do you as a mum or as a dad when it's Father's Day, if you get a handmade card, do you go, oh, that's really lovely? Or I'm going to be honest, this is how I would do it. I would go, was the fucking shop shut? Could you not buy me a card? Because there's a reason why Hallmark make a lot of money. It's because they do good cards. They don't get a 2-year-old with a glue gun and a bit of fucking and lentils being sprinkled on some blue cards to fucking be a card.
Lentils,
Happy Mother's
that's
Day, Mum.
outrageous.
This is a sun made out of pui lentils.
Oh, fucking hell. What is it? Your medium carb day on your keto diet. You can eat it afterwards. No, I mean, I think with the utmost respect, I think when you become a parent, actually to see that you haven't just gone to the shop and bought something and, you know, you've put time into making something for that person, it's sometimes nicer. I mean, actually, it's a significantly more of an effort for me to sit here with Ivy and Theo and then, you know, knock up a card for Nicole than it is just to trot down the mall and just try and find the most adversely gruesome one that that sort of tables some form of banter at her parenting skills. So I mean, Nicole makes it a bit difficult for me because she despises flowers. She has a quite bad pollen allergy, so I can't just berate her in roses or whatever. So I let Ivy's a keen shopper, so she can step up to the mantle, and as long as she finds something within that £1 to £8 bracket, you know, we will give Nicole everything she deserves and more.
I think I might start winding my mum up and start sending random Mother's Day cards to her from other kids.
I think
just
you.
To see her reaction.
I think you, when Nicola's maybe casting over the stove, knocking up a stew or wherever it is that you have in the household, maybe you should get the poi lentils out and see what you can do at 39.
Mate, you've just dropped in the ball that my missus is cooking. She doesn't ever cook. I am the chief cook and bottle washer in our household. So the day that she's standing over the stove making a stew, I'll be standing over my phone ordering a Deliveroo. On that note, I fucking hate Moonpig cards. It's the least amount of effort in the world, a Moonpig card. You know,
that's not true, because a Moonpig card actually takes the effort to construct the message, which you have to do anyway by pen. Moonpig now has actually taken their tech on another level, where you can hand write your message and then via image, they will suck that little baby out and put it into the card for you.
That's very good.
It is very clever.
Although I've got very bad handwriting.
With the utmost
so
respect, Moonpig has been a darling for me because I've been able.
I'm not sure I understand.
Me neither, mate. Me neither.
We've been able to send my dearest a Moonpig for her Mother's Day, because obviously I'm here and I won't be able to see her either. So
I love it's I love Mother's Day, and so it's a nice thing to say thank you to. I'm not a massive Father's Day fan personally. I not for any reason other than I find it a bit of it's not a tradition as Mothering Sunday that falls into it. But everyone, I still do the card, and
it's just one of those days, isn't it? Father's Day. Well, it's Father's Day today, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do nothing. And then the mum's like, well, it's just every other Sunday then, isn't it? It's kind of like that goes on in every single household up and down the land. Yeah, and then a row would break out. I said, "Oh, bollocks to this! I'm going out the pub with you chirping on." And then the guy actually ends up with his ultimate wish, and pubs will be open on this Father's Day should Boris's roadmap be rolled out successfully. So, look, Bob, you've done very well to distract me away from Arteta there, because I probably would have carried on. Starting with him as fuck of the week. I really hope he isn't fuck of the week next week, because I really want to retain some kind of moral compass when I get to the end of the Spurs fixture on Sunday. And I think it's imperative that we have a good performance on Thursday against Olympiacos. We must go into that second leg with a feeling of strength or some wind in our sails. So, it's been good. We're delaying and just chatting the breeze now. So we'll leave these lovely people to get on with it.
Mate, it's been a pleasure as always, James. So I will bid you a fond farewell now, and to our listeners. Just before we go, remember, people, www.beer52.com/Jim Bob. Get some free beer. Give it to your mum for Mother's Day. There you go. Mother's Day presents for $5.95, just a postage and packaging.
Oh, little craft.
Dear Mum, I've signed you up to Beer 52. Off you drink.
Yes, very nice. Don't worry about your flowers. Have a Rabubra Streisand.
Have a rub or a Nargil coconut pastry stout or such like. I did indulge in a few from the box at the weekend actually. Yeah, sort of had a soreish head Sunday morning.
In between stacking shelves at Tesco's in your work attire that you're...
Yeah, I actually got this from when I went to Home Bargains yesterday with the missus. That was an experience that we haven't got time for me to go into.
And you should only wear it at home, and it wasn't a bargain. So well done.
Anyway.
Okay, look, it's been a journey as always. Up the Arsenal. Come on, we're winning it all. I've been Jim.
And I've been Bob.
See you soon.